Hey everybody, welcome back. If you're new, my name is Chris. Today's video is all about new releases. I typically don't run out and jump on the new releases. I kind of take my time. Sometimes I like to wait for the hype to die down, take my time sampling things, try not to get roped into FOMO, and try fragrances, new releases when it is convenient for me. However, I have this amazing fragrance friend that I met here. In fact, her name is Audra. Shout out to my lovely friend Audra from Houston. She was one of the winners of one of my discovery sets from Maisa. I found out that she was living in Houston. I was traveling down there to visit, and I DM'd her and said, hey, do you want to meet up? I can give this to you in person. We could say hi, you know, shake hands, hug, whatever. That was back in March, and we are tremendous fragrance friends right now, virtually. And she is a huge perfume lover, and she is always on top of the newest releases. And since she is down in Houston, and that is like a perfume mecca, she can smell basically anything that comes out. I have about 7 of these fragrances that I was able to test, these brand new releases, because of her. So that is one of the main reasons you are getting this video. Also, I have a lot of people ask me about some of these new releases, and so I'm just going to talk about them, and I'm going to dive right in. The first one is the newest release from Creed. It is called Carmina, and just by the bottle, I was just really anticipating getting my nose on this. Creed is probably the first niche brand that I ever sampled and ever owned a bottle of. I have a story. If you've been with me a while, you know the story about Florissimo. I was a very, very broke, poor student, literally rubbing nickels together. I think I might have had one perfume, and it was usually something you could get like at the Walgreens, or never anything super expensive. And I smelled this woman in Washington, D.C., asked her what she was wearing. I literally walked up to her in a bar, well, it was the Cheesecake Factory, and I asked her what she was wearing, and she told me it was Florissimo. She told me the whole story and said I could find it at something like Neiman Marcus. Of course, like I couldn't even afford a pair of socks at that time from Neiman Marcus, but I went anyway, sprayed, and I fell in love. And I literally, when I talk about putting pennies away, I literally put pennies away. And it took me almost a year to save up to buy that perfume. And it was literally, it was so special. I still own it to this day. I'm on my 2nd bottle. But Creed was always a line that I felt was just so beautiful. Their perfumes were so amazing. Everything in there just smelled phenomenal. And they were so different than, you know, the designer offerings at that time. So I'm always interested in what Creed has to offer. I was really excited about this new release. The bottle is beautiful. So I was happy to get the decant from my friend, and I was really expecting this wow factor, particularly from that beautiful burgundy bottle. And did I get the wow factor? I did not. But so this starts off very pleasant, and when you first smell it, you're thinking you're going to get this typical rose, patchouli, rose, oud perfume, even though it never moves into the deep oud or woody territory. It is very soft. And what I get is a rose peony combo with a little bit of like a fruity sweetness. I know there's cherries in here. To me, the cherries are really kind of toned down. What stands out to me is this rose peony combo that's quite beautiful. It's a combo that I love, but it's nothing that's gonna knock you off your feet, or it didn't knock me off my feet. Again, it kind of smelled a little bit Middle Eastern to me at first, like there was some spices in here. There's saffron and maybe a little bit of incense. So it's got a little bit of spiciness to give it some depth. So it's got some sweetness. So there's a little bit of violet sweetness and just a touch of cherry. To me, the cherry is not overwhelming. So this is a really pretty perfume. To me, it's fairly linear. It's very quiet. It just did not live up to the high hopes that I had for it. A lovely perfume, but I do think it is, for me, overpriced. The next one I was very excited to get my nose on is the newest release from Penhaligons, Mr. Thompson, the little elephant. So my spirit animal is the elephant. I have tremendous compassion for elephants, and if I had a dream job, it would be to go down to Africa, take care of the elephants, and wipe the poachers off the planet. I mean, in a non-violent fashion, of course. So that bottle had me 80%, but I was still gonna wait because those are expensive fragrances. I love that line. I wanna say I have at least 5, and I love them all. So when I tried Mr. Thompson, I knew that he would be joining my collection soon, and he is in the air right now, coming from Selfridges in London. So Mr. Thompson is a woody aromatic vanilla with florals and spices. It's very peppery, and I happen to be one of those. I love pepper in perfume. I love black pepper, I love red pepper, I love Sichuan pepper, I love it all. And I'm really into those perfumes right now, but it's peppery. And you also have to like lavender. There is lavender in here, and it is quite noticeable. So it does start off leaning on the masculine side, and those type of fragrances don't typically scare me off, but it wasn't like a eyes roll back on the head kind of a thing in the opening. This also kind of going along with more of a masculine vibe is I do get a heavy geranium. So to me, geranium smells like a green rose, like a very green, kind of a leafy, sometimes spicy rose. So geranium is in here, and geranium is also in a lot of masculine leaning perfumes. So yes, definitely unisex leaning masculine in my opinion. But over time, that kind of fades and it goes into the dry down, which is a vanilla. So it's very powdery. So it becomes powdery, vanillic. I know there's orris in here, which is gonna lend to the powderiness and a little bit of the floral note. It also has this kind of warm nuttiness, which is coming from sesame. Another note I love in fragrances, so it has a little bit of sesame in here. And to me, the sesame is a little bit on the strong side. So this might be the deal breaker for some people, but it is a love, and I really love it in the dry down. It goes much more back into the unisex department, so powdery, a little bit floral, sweet, woody vanilla. And what also made it easy for me to purchase is that, again, I bought it from Selfridges, and it is much more affordable there than it is on the places selling it here in the United States, which I want to say over $300, and I think I got it like $240 at Selfridges. So I can't wait for Mr. Thompson to join my little collection. The next one is Vanille Leather by BDK. So this was another one I was really looking forward to, because leather is an accord that I used to have a lot of trouble with. That I have found several leather perfumes or leather forward perfumes that are really in my wheelhouse, and I'm always up for some vanilla. So I was really excited to try this, and it was a little bit different than I thought. This is really very floral heavy. So there are lots of florals in here. I'm getting a lot of white flowers and like a candied violet. Now at the same time, there is leather. There is a noticeable leather in the background. Yeah, I definitely get a very strong jasmine, a little bit of candied violets in the dry down, but this jasmine is that type of jasmine. It's very prominent. It's a little bit animalic, the kind that's I find in Alien, which that's a big no-no for me. That kind of jasmine is a no-go. So for me, that jasmine-y floral is too prominent. So if you're a lover, if you really love that type of jasmine and Alien, and you like a little bit of a leather accord, you will probably love this. It didn't have as much vanilla as I wanted. It really wasn't a vanilla leather perfume that I was looking forward to, particularly as we're going into the fall months. This is really kind of a floral leather perfume. So I can see a lot of people really liking it. It just wasn't for me, and I found something just a little bit synthetic about it. So that's my take on Vanille Leather. The next one is the newest release from Guerlain, and is called Tobacco Honey. And this is a Delphine Jacques release. I think she is responsible for the vast majority of the Guerlain fragrances, or many of the Guerlain fragrances of late. So wow, so this is such a photorealistic honey perfume to me, and almost immediately reminded me of Tobacco Vanille from Tom Ford. That one is a little bit spicier. That one has more vanilla. This one has more honey, but very much in the same kind of ballpark. So it starts off really 50-50. It's tobacco and honey. And like I said, the honey's not gooey, but it's not like crystalline clear. It's kind of right in the middle. Quite intoxicating, very realistic, and nothing animalic about it. The interesting thing is that it's actually, to me, the tobacco, I found it on me, faded over time, and the honey came out a little bit more over time. Now that might be related to some of the base notes. I know there's tonka in here, so maybe that tonka note is is pulling out that honey accord more. So I found the honey to be quite persistent. So the honey is still there in the dry down. There are some spices, and the spices are the spices that I found very similar in Tobacco Vanille. But so same spiciness, not as spicy. So to love this, you need to be a fan of both tobacco and honey, like a spicy honeyed tobacco with a little bit of vanilla. You have to love both to love these. So I think it is a beautiful offering. I'm not head over heels in love with it, and that at that price point, I will not be adding it to my collection. So the next one is the newest release by Navitus in collaboration with the face behind Dear Makeup Diary. Her name is Carmina, and the perfumer is Bertrand Duchefort. This is Miel Exstase, which means honey ecstasy. So I have several Navitus fragrances in my collection. I really enjoy that brand. They're usually likes or loves. A few of them I have had to work with a little bit. They've had to macerate, or they started off as strong likes and became a love. But in general, the line really speaks to me. So I felt honored when they reached out and asked if they could send this to me. And I have seen it make the rounds. And I'm thrilled to announce that this is one of the fragrances that was an immediate love for me. And I wasn't sure because I looked at the notes, and even though I'm a huge gourmand lover, chocolate is a little bit iffy for me. I love the smell of chocolate. I love to eat chocolate desserts. I don't always feel like wearing a perfume that is overwhelmingly chocolate, particularly when it's paired with a strong syrupy fruit. That's not a combo that I'm just drawn to. So I was a touch apprehensive with this, and this was no waiting needed for this one. This was an immediate love. So there's no mistaking that honey is the star. This is a very much a honey forward fragrance, and it's the type of honey so it's not thick and gooey. I mean, I have to be in the mood for that type of honey. This is a light honey, but is a boozy honey. So this is a honey that definitely has a booziness to it. There's definitely some fruits in here, and I want to say it's apricot. Hold on, I have the card. Yeah, apricot and dried fruits. I definitely get an apricot. Thank goodness it's a fresh apricot. Had this gone in a different direction, had this gone in a super thick, syrupy apricot with an overwhelmingly thick honey, this might not be the fragrance for me, but because of the way it's composed, I absolutely love it. I think that Navitus, this house is brilliant for doing boozy notes, like likable boozy notes. And that's the case here. I don't know what type of a boozy note is here. Maybe it's rum, but it definitely smells like you've got rum-soaked fruits. So rum-soaked fruits, you have this beautiful honey. Yes, there is chocolate, but it is very subtle. So there is definitely chocolate in here. Thankfully, it's not super dense, super thick. It kind of goes along with the style of honey. It is a light chocolate, like a very light milk chocolate. So pairs perfectly with the honey, pairs perfectly with that light, slightly fresh apricot and a little bit of the dried fruits. This is absolutely beautiful. As it dries down, it gets more woody and the vanilla comes out a little bit more. This is a beautiful gourmand that is not overly gourmand. So if you hate your fragrances to smell like food, this is in the wheelhouse for those who don't like overt gourmands. It does remind me a bit of Dolce Diablo. That one wasn't a love for me because it was just too thick and heavy on the chocolate and too heavy on the apricot. I mean, it's something that I would want to eat but not smell like. This to me is a better perfume form. This is a more wearable form of that profile with the added note of honey. It's absolutely gorgeous. Love it. So grateful to have it, and will be wearing a lot. It also just screams fall to me. The next one is the newest release by Tom Ford. I'm gonna let the cat out of the bag for an incense lover, for someone who loves incense but can struggle with some myrrhe notes. This is gorgeous. This is one of the best interpretations of myrrhe that I've ever smelled. Myrrhe is, yes, part of incense, but it can come off very medicinal. If you want to know what myrrhe smells like, go to Whole Foods or Fresh Time or something like that, a place like that that sells essential oils. They will carry myrrhe. Give it a sniff. It doesn't always smell great. It can come off very, very medicinal. This is just perfect. It is so delicious. This is a beautifully balsamic, incensey myrrhe note with a little bit of, I'm picking up the slightest bit of an evergreen freshness and this gorgeous smokiness. Perfectly composed. There's nothing medicinal about it. It has this lovely spiciness, like sweet spices running throughout. And as this dries down, it becomes more smoky and very liturgical. As a practicing Catholic, this smells exactly like the incense that's wafting in the air that you get at like a midnight mass when you're in an old cathedral and surrounded by wood that over hundreds of years have kind of soaked up this gorgeous incense, the incense smoke. There's a scent that I just find incredibly comforting and delicious and beautiful. I also think I love this so much because it shares some similarities to other Tom Ford fragrances that I love. Amber Absolute and Patchouli Absolute. It has a mixture of two of those perfumes in this fragrance, in addition to being its own perfume with that beautiful myrrhe note. So this is 100% a love. I mean, like, I love this perfume, but it's $395 for an F50 ml bottle. And I have a red line, and this perfume and that pricing has crossed over my red line. If you don't have the same red line and you like some of the same perfumes, you like those fragrances I just talked about, Patchouli Absolute, Amber Absolute, you are an incense lover, particularly a really good myrrhe note, and that price point doesn't bother you, you should 100% go get your nose on this because it is a beautiful release. But unfortunately, this is a case of you just priced yourself out of my market. Maybe I'll wait and see if the price comes down or shows up in the gray market, but gorgeous release. Won't be joining my fragrance collection in the near future. The last two are from the House of Argos. If you have been following me, you know that I absolutely love Triumph of Bacchus and Argos Parfum. Those fragrances are absolutely phenomenal and I love them. So I was very excited for the newest releases. I have two in my hands here. The first one I'm gonna go with is called Birth of Venus, and this is my personal favorite. Now these bottles are just works of art in and of themselves. I mean, these bottles are worthy of their own showcase. And this fragrance features a note that I've been really into of late, raspberry. I'm looking for the perfect raspberry perfume, so I was dying to get my nose on this. So this is a beautiful floral perfume with a lovely fresh fruitiness. So when I first spray this, I get this gorgeous, fresh, tart, fruity citruses. And the citruses that I get are raspberry, or like a red berry raspberry, and a clean peach. The peach doesn't start coming out until maybe 5 minutes in the dry down. I really get these fresh, bright citruses, the red berry / raspberry, and maybe 5 minutes in, this really nice, a peach just before it goes into being overripe. So very fresh, clean, fruity, citrusy. And then almost immediately I'm picking up this really pretty rose. And the rose that I smell is a Taif rose. Whether that's in here or not, I don't know. But a Taif rose to me smells a little bit Middle Eastern. It has a slight tea touch, or a tea note. I smell a little bit of like a tea rose in here. And that type of a rose goes so beautifully with the citruses and the fruits. Also, I wanted to mention the raspberry in here is the same raspberry that I pick up in a few other of the Argos fragrances, and I want to say Palathine. I do love that perfume, and it has that same raspberry note, so if you like that, you're gonna love it here. So it dries into this beautiful floral woody amber. Absolutely love it. And one of the many, many things I love about Argos is they not only do they sell this beautiful 100 ml bottle, they sell 30 ml bottles too. So if you love the fragrance, but the large bottle isn't in your budget, you can enjoy it in the 30 ml, and I love that they offer that. I have one more to show you. There's a new release from Argos, but my neighbor is having a tree chopped down in their backyard and it's getting a little noisy. So I'll wait for the next video. I'm gonna do kind of a new goodies, or I haven't done a haul video in about 6 or 7 months, so I will add this to my haul video. So that's it. That's my take on some of the newest releases. I'd love to hear about your experiences with some new releases, and if there are any new releases that you want me to get my nose on as long as I can, and you want me to talk about it in the next video similar to this, let me know in the comment section. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for sticking around. Thanks for everybody who supports me, and I will see you on the next one.